Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network, we're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the show today. I'm so glad that you are here with us. We are out globally, all around the world. But for my purposes, we are here each and every week from 2:30 to 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, which right now is also known as Arizona Standard Time. And each and every week, we love to bring together just rock star entrepreneurs, business owners, and influencers, to just help make the world a better place. And one of the things I think that we really need to put more of a flashlight on are those people who are put in the place of support. So many of times we always just look at businesses as sometimes, there's a leader and everyone follows. But you know what? True leaders also work with other leaders. And I am so fortunate to have a leader with me here today on the show. But before we start our show, I want to remind everyone that we have my wife. She's putting on the Unchain Yourself Professional Women's Conference on July 28th from 9 to 5 p.m. Tickets are $20 to $397 if you would like to speak from stage. Last event, we had over 200 women professionals at this particular event. It's a great place to connect, do business, and actually just be seen and have a little bit of fun while you're at it. So that's going to be in Gilbert, Arizona. It's an actual live event. So, if you're in Illinois or if you're in Canada, you might have to fly here for it. But if you're here in the Phoenix area, just get in the car, go down the street, go to Gilbert, Arizona. You can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net for more information on this beautiful and wonderful event that we're having on July 28th. I also want to remind everyone that our third book is going to be coming out in November or December of this year. It's called 365 Days of Transformational Quotes. To get a page, it's only $197. And if you've ever been an author, if you've published in a collaborative book, $197 is really not a terrible amount to spend to get published in a series that is in the Library of Congress. And so I say three types of entrepreneur authors love to be in this book: those who are looking for an awareness of themselves and what they do, those who are looking to do something they've never done before, and those who want to leave a legacy where they can say, you know what, I'm a part of this great Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. Also, I want to talk about NT Events again. This is where you can go to find over 1,000 meetings and events, both in person, virtual, academy classes, summits, and so much more. So go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. If you're a guest, if you've never been to the virtual networking environment before, just come. Let's have some fun. We're always looking for guest speakers to just give knowledge to our audience. Also, like us on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. Again, that's facebook.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. And also, subscribe to our magazine. We have about 47,000 people signed up for our magazine. It comes out quarterly. It's called iNetrepreneur Network Magazine. It highlights, rock star entrepreneurs, business owners, influencers, founders, speakers, and such. Take a look at it. We have it in digital and in print. If you want any information about all this and more, please just contact me. If you're listening right now, you can reach out through our chat. You can reach out, by calling me up. I'm sure I'm findable some way. So I'm just excited about that. But without going on to more that's going on with our academy, I'd love to bring in our first guest. And with me, I have Linda Kooper. Welcome, Linda.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here.
It is great to have you. Linda is a freelance virtual executive assistant. And what I like to say, and I told her this before the show, what's great about the virtual assistants is they make a business owner, they make a leader, they make a division manager, a business owner look great because you help take the stress out of life, don't you?
Exactly, I do.
you know, and one of the things that I think that, you know, I work with a lot of business owners, each and every day, and that turns into months and that turns into
Mhm.
years, and one of the things that I always get the same question is, Robert, how do you do all that you do? How do you show up in all these different places, and how do you send out all those different emails, and how do you walk on all those stages, and how do and it's all, and make the time to give me a call, and I say, it's one thing. It's one thing. It's the power of duplication, and that duplication is my virtual assistant staff. And wouldn't you say that's how you get yourself out of the treadmill, Linda?
Exactly. You can't do it all on your own. You definitely need help as a business owner.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you'll get
yeah,
lost.
yeah, or you get lost. But
Hmm.
but like I do with my show, I have your information going across, and at the end of the segment, I'll bring it on again. But one of the things I really wanted to talk about is I want to get to know you a little bit better. This first time you're on the show, the first time you get to open up the doorway to the iNetrepreneur Network and our community, which is in 20 countries and over 20 states. So we've grown a lot since a little farm kitchen in Queen Creek, Arizona. I
Oh,
mean, believe it. But a lot of it has to do by having the right people doing the right things, and doing it in a timely manner. And
exactly.
but like I said, one of the things I like to talk about is your background. Where are you from, and what was your family life like, and when you looked up at the stars at night, what were some of the dreams that you had when you were the younger version of yourself?
The younger version. Okay. So I grew up in a small town in Illinois. I never left. Well, I left the small town, but I'm still in Illinois. We had a pretty close family. It was just I only had one brother. And I think one of the benefits of the pandemic is we actually got closer during the pandemic, which I think happened to a lot of people. They just reconnected with people, spent time with family. That was really nice. So that was a benefit for sure. Um, we grew up on a lake, so there was a lot of swimming. There was a lot. We were always like the party house, but in a good way. We always have all of our family members, our friends over. We had barbecues. We would go boating in the summer. In the winter, we lived by a hill, so we would go sledding and then snowmobiling, which was fun. We had a little ride along carriage that my parents would put me in, or put me and my brother in, and then it covered up, and we would go snowmobiling all over. So it was really fun. It was a really great time, and we also would have like build big forts and have snowball fights. So I had a really good childhood. It was very fun. Um, a lot of sports, marching band, and then I went off to college. I followed that traditional path. I went to college. I got married, got a job, everything I was supposed to do. Right. I went into programming, so I was a programmer for a long time, until I had kids, and then I had kids, and I retired.
Yeah, that is so funny you say that. And what I love about what I'm hearing is, really, family is a big part of your life, it
Yes.
seems like, and my wife and I always say, a family that plays together stays together. And I think that the same thing, we could talk about the same thing when it comes to business. Really, if a team, I mean, truly it's a team, if they have teamwork, and they play together, and they get along, and then they create social bonds. you know you know when it came to your family, was it your mom, was your dad, your brother even, or was it anyone else? Who were some of the people that you looked at that kind of inspired you to become who you are now?
I would say a little of both my mom and my dad. So my dad was definitely, he had a blue collar job, but he was definitely had some entrepreneurial spirit in him. He was always trying to start some kind of business. And that kind of bled over into my brother and I. So my brother started a restaurant when he was like 20. And I thought, you're
Oh, wow.
crazy. I took the safe route. I was a programmer. I kept my job, and he's still at it. And um, I just recently started to become my own boss, and I love it. And we both have the entrepreneurial spirit, so it's really cool.
So your dad kind of inspired the entrepreneurial part. And what role did your mom play in growing up?
She was the fun maker.
The fun maker. I love it.
She was always making sure we had fun. So I'm kind of like, I'm that mom now. So I was always the house where everyone came to when my kids were growing up. So I like to carry that tradition. I like the hospitality part for sure. So I have that from her.
Well, and it's really interesting that you say that, because in my background, I worked with a lot of teams, a lot of programming teams. I like to say one of the most infamous things I ever done was when I was working over at Intuit, and we created pop-up ads for the first time for GoDaddy, and I'm not GoDaddy. I mean, sorry, for a TurboTax, and it was just like I used to say, I'm the most infamous man in the world, and I remember, back in the day that there was a real difference on how they looked at people who did programming. I mean, this is like, oh my God, 30 years ago now. And it always seemed like, there was the business, and then over here was this little appendage called like the tech people, the programmers, those people over there. And I still remember getting into a room, and they were like, they got the accountants together and they got the programmers together. And I remember for 2 weeks straight, they were trying to get the programmers to talk to the accountants, and they were trying to get the accountants to talk to the programmers. And believe me, that was either hysterical or it was just crying, because there's a certain understanding of language sometimes that you probably understand, like me, that doesn't always convey, does it? Sometimes, what the desire is doesn't always translate over in the ability to create that desire, is there?
No, that's correct. And there's often a disconnect between the end user and the person actually doing the coding or the work. I actually held the position for a while to be the liaison between the two, because I had the technical background, and then I also had a customer service background, and I only did that for a couple of years. I couldn't, it was too hard. It's just two different personality types trying to talk to each other, and they pass each other. They don't get it.
Well, in like a language, there has to be a building of word assets.
Mhm.
So just like writing a paragraph, and a paragraph turns into a page, and a page turns into a chapter, and all of a sudden you have a book. And sometimes it's really interesting to me, because when people or a person are developing idea, they don't necessarily look at they look at like, well, you can fill it in, but many times in our world, we can't just fill in things, can we? We actually need to know that A to B to C to D. We can't usually go A to D, because there's a lot of fine tuning. I call it like the information architecture of setting up any type of system that we have to have. Why is it sometimes that programmers and business owners kind of like are at odds in their language?
Again, I think it's personality types. So programmers are usually more technical, more analytical. They like spreadsheets. I love a good spreadsheet. And it's just their personality type. And then I think like the business owner or the managers, they're more big picture. They don't want to see the details. They just want to see, this is what I want done. I want it done tomorrow. And then the programmers are like, well, you can have this, and it's going to take 2 months. So they need to learn each other's personality, and then maybe meet in the middle and compromise and kind of talk the same way.
And it really is interesting to me, because I'm always about like I'm a firm believer that there's nature, nurture, and your noodle.
Mm-hmm.
And so nature is like the gifts that you inherently have, and definitely that's behavior, that's personality, that's desire, that's some of the things. But then a part of that soup is also the nurturing. In your life, some of the jobs that you held, what made you say, yeah, I want to be a programmer? Was it a little bit of nature or nurture, or was there something even more crazy that got you to that point?
I think it was more crazy. So in college, I took a programming class and I almost failed it. So I don't know what happened. And then I got out, and I, like so many people, I left college with a lot of debt. So I have a psychology degree, and you can't do much with just a bachelor's. So then I went to DePaul in Chicago, and I got for computer science. Because I wanted to make money, and I wanted to go back to school to get my master's in computers, but that didn't pan out. I worked as a systems analyst for many years, and then I had kids. But I still use my analytical skills now to keep on top of like the current trends for my clients, so I can help them with all the new tools that are always coming out. And then I use my psychology degree to to be interpersonal, and use my interpersonal skills to be client facing in several businesses that I support. So it's a good mix.
Oh my goodness, and I think it's one of the best mix that anyone can have, because I call it having a conversation with yourself, because you almost you're right, because as many times, a lot of times, a person who starts something, they're innovative, they're creative, they have these ideas, but the thing is that you also have to have an architect, and you have to have a builder, and you have to have the staff, and you have to have the processes, and you have to have the follow-up, and you have to have all these things that come into place. And I think because you kind of live really in both worlds, I think that's what gives you a leg up versus maybe other people that are in the same industry that you have. And I think that that's really creative. So like, some of the things that you learned in school, what have you seen that's changed since you've been maybe in college, and when you were working as a system analyst, and and when you start, because I see a lot that's changed, but I was just wanting to get your opinion. What are some of the things that are changing that maybe kids are seeing today, or people like me, who are, I'm in my 50s now, and I'm seeing the kind of the world go by, and what are some of the changes that you've seen that business owners really need to kind of be cognizant about and kind of keep up with, so they can remain relevant?
Well, a lot has changed, really. And I mean, I definitely could not go back to programming now. I am so out of touch with the languages that they use. My kids are both going to college right now for computer science, and I don't even know what they're talking about. But like, you used to do this. How do you not understand? I'm like, it's different. But I think definitely my oldest is going for cybersecurity, and that is just such a huge risk now. We just have to be so careful and make sure we have the proper like programs and stuff on our computers to keep us safe, and have the firewalls up. So I think that's a big thing for business owners to be aware of right now, is just the security of their private laptops and whatever they're using for work as well.
Yeah, and in your opinion, why is cybersecurity? Because it's like, to me, everyone knows they need it, but so few people really pursue it. And it's something that I don't understand why. I know with us, we make sure our routers are secured. And there's like 128, there's 256, there's lots of different alternative type of encryptions, but why is that such like the last place that business owners usually look to? Is it just because they really don't have enough fear, or is it just because maybe that they're just not educated enough?
I think it's probably a little of both. You never think it's going to happen to you until it does, and then you're in trouble. So it's always good to just back up all your data into the cloud, into a secure server, or even onto just a small hard drive or something on your desk, a backup drive. I just think business owners don't think about it. They're not afraid of it. They don't want to put the time or money into it, even though the cost to do it is minimal compared to what it's going to cost you to try and recover your data. So I think it's a little of both.
Yeah, I mean,
That knowledge.
yeah, no, I mean, I feel like, if you have a data breach, it really costs you more than anything else, because it's time, money, and energy. And there's
Mhm.
really not very many places that I can think that can sabotage or just, really eat your business out. And for me, I've seen more businesses fail, successful businesses fail because of cybersecurity than any other reason. It used to be, maybe you had someone work in the drawer at the store, at a location, or something like that. But now it really is, you really need to know, who's working with you, and you really need to know how to have oversight in, those, maybe even employees that work for you, or VAs, or contract workers, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and a lot of companies don't take away the security from employees after they leave. So that's also a huge breach. They
Oh
still have
my.
access to all their files, and I've seen that happen a lot.
Well, I just want to let everyone know that I am talking to Linda Kooper. She's a freelance virtual assistant. You can reach her at premierexecutiveadmin.com. That's premierexecutiveadmin.com. Or you can call her. She will personally, interview you to see if you're a good fit. You can call her at 630-673-6100. I advocate anyone. If you don't think that an executive assistant, especially a virtual executive assistant, can't save your life, then we're going to tell you why they can in the next segment. So I will be back in just a couple of minutes.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
All right, I am with Linda Kooper. She is a virtual executive assistant working out of the great state of Illinois. And that's what I love about this day and age. You brought up the pandemic for a few moments, Linda, and I have never seen, at least in my lifetime, I've never seen business really radically change as it has in the last 2.5, 3 years now. I even remember, and this may not be a business story, but I think it's a story that everyone can relate to. I remember everyone started using Zoom.
Mhm.
And so I remember my mom, oh my goodness, she didn't want to use Zoom, that newfangled technology. I don't want people to see me and me see them. How can I set that up? I remember about a month later, I was getting on and I was doing a Zoom and I wasn't, and she was visiting me. And I remember her coming over there and she's like, oh, I can help you with that. And so
The expert.
my mom is 79 at the time, going from just being so fearful of Zoom and getting on the computer to like all of a sudden she's like coming over here and she's threatening to help me. I mean,
That's
I
great.
mean, have we not gone through the craziest time this last 2.5 years?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's, it's great because people across the country can connect with their family now. If you have a grandchild that's in another state, you can see him or her. So I think it's great.
And you can keep up with your teams and you can keep up with your clients. And, the thing I love is sometimes I travel in my job. And, there was a time where I wouldn't get to meet them until I actually traveled there to meet them. Or, you may be on the phone or maybe an email or something like that. But, I actually get to hop on a Zoom, at a convenient time. And by the time I get to see them like in person, it's like I have already seen them, a few times with the Zoom technology. Do you have that same feeling?
Yes, absolutely. And then you already have that connection. So you're not having that awkward, first time meeting because you already feel like you know each other, even though never met in person. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And so much of what we used to do, was, with emails and social media and, texting started coming in and, phone calling. But, I really feel like, much of business is done through Zoom, and it's even replacing in some certain circumstances, meeting in person
Mhm.
as the norm. Which I think is kind of credible. Aside from like the personalization you get through a Zoom, what are some other reasons why business owners should really take advantage of using Zoom or Skype and Google Meet and even applications like StreamYard?
Well, I think if you have a lot of people have closed down their offices, so that is a huge money
Mm,
saver right there. Just meeting virtually, and then maybe occasionally doing a group meeting, just renting a space for that one time. And definitely keeps your interpersonal skills sharp.
yeah,
You can see what the other people are doing, and I think if you're trying to storm something, it's still helpful to see each other because then you can see each other's reactions. And when you throw an idea
yeah.
out there, if everyone thinks it's a dumb idea, if you're not on camera, you're not going to know. And you're going to think, they love my idea. Let's go. And yeah. So I think it's still helpful to see each other, even if it's over Zoom.
And what an astute thing to say, because I am a true believer in the saying that says 7% of true communication is actually our verbal.
Mhm.
93% of our communication is actually the nonverbal cues that we carry with us. I mean, you carry in a mood, you carry in an attitude, you carry in a predisposition, you carry across, so to speak, or you carry it, well, this person's always happy. But does that mean they really like it, or they're just always happy? I mean,
Mhm.
there's some things that that can kind of trigger us, but I think what's really, really cool nowadays, Linda, is it also breathes life, into the people that I get to work with, and that is with virtual assistants. And one of the things that why do I say this personally, is because, and I mean it, virtual assistants saved my life. And my wife and I, we have a growing company. It's in 20 countries and almost 25 different states. We produce magazine, we produce the show, we produce, we have a publishing company, we, have all these online and in-person events. But I I got stricken with COVID.
Mm.
And unfortunately for me, I had COVID for like a month, 30 days.
Wow.
And I was here. My wife is in Las Vegas, and she has stage 4 liver cirrhosis. So I'm here, she's there, and guess what happens to the company? You
It
know,
stops.
the executive team stops, you
Yeah.
know, and I kid you not, I'm getting goosebumps even talking to you about this. I mean, if it wasn't for a properly trained virtual assistants, we wouldn't, have the business like we have now, because my wife and I couldn't keep up with the duties. We couldn't start the Zooms. We couldn't handle the calls. We couldn't, properly, vet through the emails.
Mhm.
And, having great executive assistants are more, they keep a sustainability that you wouldn't have otherwise, notwithstanding they create, a great buffer. What are some other ways that you can think of that virtual assistants really can help, the leaders of organizations?
I feel like I take a lot of stress off of a lot of my clients. I think a lot of people go into business thinking it's gonna be great and it's gonna be so fun and they're gonna have their life back in freedom. And then they're like, wait, I have to do billing and invoicing and answer emails and answer my
Mhm.
phone. Oh, and schedule. And there's just so much to do. You don't realize it when you're going into business. So I take a lot of stress off of my clients for sure. And I free up their time so they can work on rev- tasks that generate revenue, not emails. Not that emails aren't important, but you should be
Well,
doing something that's more important to your business and it's going to help your business grow.
well, even other things like onboarding someone,
Yes.
onboarding a community member takes a lot of time. You want them to fill out their profile. You want them to explain what proper information looks like. You may even give them, soft, like close oriented, verbiage that could go into maybe the bio area or an offer area. And I think sometimes when you are a business owner, sometimes, and I hear this a lot, especially for busy business owners who are doing a lot of work, they come in and they get the sales side down, but sometimes the fulfillment side doesn't happen, doesn't
Exactly.
it?
Yeah.
You've never seen that, right?
Oh, I see that all the time. People lose customers and clients because they don't follow up. Yeah.
Y- You know, and they also don't fulfill some of the duties. I mean,
Yes.
I think that like some of the worst statements I've ever heard of is I didn't know, I didn't hear about, and I couldn't find.
Oh, yes.
And to me, that's what virtual assistants do really well. But I think, one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about is you do a little bit more than that. One of the things that you do is you can help with helping design systems in an office, helping to, expand the look and credibility of a brand, taking some of those technical skills and probably even, training staff members. Aren't some of these the things that you can do for an entrepreneur?
Yes, absolutely. Um, I love it when I go into a new client and they actually have their systems in place and I can just kind of clean them up a little. But if they are completely lost, I'll meet with them. I will make suggestions based on past experience, what works and what doesn't work. I'll help them get them set up. Often there's been a few times where I've trained myself out of a job. I trained them so well. They're like, oh, we got this. But yeah, I'm always just willing to help set up a good system, keep the person, on track, because sometimes an entrepreneur has so much on their plate, they forget what they're really supposed to be doing. So, I'm there to help them with the repetitive tasks and just the mountain of work that they let build up, but it's still important to get done.
And one of the other things too, and this is what entrepreneurs I don't think understand. You talked about billing, you talked about invoicing, but you also talked about the phones.
Mhm.
And with me, I've run call centers myself. I've created scripts. I've created the emails that go out with it. How to create awareness, how to do soft touches, etc. But I think one of the things that makes small companies look really big is if they actually have someone there to answer the phones at least during business hours. And what I mean by that is in a lot of businesses, it's a right now need. It's not like a right next week need.
Right.
And, if you have a plumbing catastrophe, or if you have an accounting faux pas, or if you have a computer that went down, or if you even had a flat tire and you need to call someone for help, I mean, and you're on the phone and you're Googling or you're looking in there and someone's not picking up, what happens to that business?
You lose them.
You lose them.
Yeah, they go to the next person.
They go to the next person. I have found, in my world, that 89% of potential clients who need their business right now go to the next person if that phone isn't answered. Because when right now happens, there is no such thing as loyalty.
I believe it. Yep.
Yeah,
They,
there is no such thing as loyalty. But tell us some of the services that you provide. Maybe it's the office suite. Maybe it's CRM systems. What are some of the things, the must-need tools that you would probably either consult or work with clients on so they can get a better grasp at especially customer retention.
Okay. So a lot of times when customers first bring me on, when a client brings me on, they start small because, they're really afraid to give up control. So they want to know that they can trust me. So usually they give up just a small portion. So they start delegating small tasks and then I start knocking them out. And I'm like, oh, okay, she can do this. Then they start with like data entry or maybe working on their CRM. Like, I do a lot of work in Active Campaign where I create sales funnels and automatic emails, scheduling and stuff. And then they start bringing me on for tasks that are a little more involved, that are more important to the business, something they can teach me and then train me and then they can let it go. So that's the important part too, is like once they get me, trained on it, they need to let it go. Sometimes they still want to hold on and I'm like, it's okay, I got you.
That is key. If you love someone, set them free, right?
Definitely. So I do kind of customize, I customize the work I do for each client. So my clients are also vastly different that I really can't just narrow it down because I get into their business, I become a part of their business, and I just pretty much take on whatever they need me to do. And a lot of it's confidential, it's funny, I've worked for financial people, so I've been fingerprinted, I've been background checked. I mean, I've had it all done. So it varies for sure.
And it's amazing. Like I said, I'm your biggest fan. I really am. I have to say it. But like for me, I had misconceptions about virtual assistants, and executive virtual assistants, even understanding what that means, and because I was afraid to give up that control. I was afraid to allow someone to do something, I mean, this is what was really crazy, Linda. Maybe they did it even better than I could do it, and I look back at that and I think, like, how slow did I move my company because of being afraid of someone doing something better for me. I'm not going to be replaced. It just means that I'm replacing that part of what I do with someone who can do that part better. And
Exactly.
and I think that that's like, a thing a lot of us have to really, face up to. And, it can get quite addictive. You get a virtual assistant in and they become so competent and good. You start having virtual assistants even train other virtual assistants sometimes. And so you have a framework, yeah, you have a staff, but they're all virtual, but there's still a Sigma. There's still people out there that just say, oh, it's too much money. Oh, they just take up too much time. Oh, I don't know how to manage them. Oh, how do you overcome that? How do you overcome, those business owners that say no when deep in your heart they really need to be saying yes?
Well, I had a coach once tell me that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, right? So if you're talking to a person that needs you, they're going to know they need you. I don't ever want to convince someone to work with me that's not ready to work with me. I like to work with established business owners that have their business up and running and they know they need help. Um, and I would say, oh, I forgot your other question. um,
To those that are, they're still kind of afraid. I mean, they may be successful too, but you know, what's the hang up with giving up? I mean, because you work with highly successful
mhm.
people, and I'm sure you've cracked the code on a few of them. But for those that are teetering on that fence, what gets them from no to yes?
Well, I think what I first try to do when I speak with a new client is try to understand what their pain points are, try to figure out what's falling through the cracks, what they're struggling with, what they don't even like to do, because there's a lot of back end office support that most business owners don't like to do. Then I come up with my solution, I present them with the solution. And some people do say it's too expensive, but I come back with that. My example of why it's not too expensive. I started working for a client. She had a full-time assistant in her office that retired. So she said, I'm going to bring you on. I'm going to find someone to replace her. So I just need you for a little bit. That's 3 years ago. I'm still working for her because I save her over $30,000 a year because she doesn't have to
Amazing.
pay my benefits. She doesn't have to pay my vacation. All that stuff you're paying an employee for, you don't have to pay her. And I'm only there when she needs me. So she has time blocked in my schedule every day. I'm there when she needs me and she doesn't have to pay all that overhead. So in the long run, it's not expensive and you're wasting your valuable time doing stuff that I could be doing. So it's costing you money in the long run, really.
Yeah, and I think that that's really true. I mean, you know, wasting time. I always say there's the principle of opportunity cost.
Yes.
But I but I also think that might be the time value, part of it, that money value. But I also say, you know, there's also really something that's worse, and that's just opportunity lost. Because every time you're digging through that shoebox to get those receipts all in order, that's more than an opportunity cost. That is a straight out loss to your bottom line. That's a straight out loss to the clients who, need your talents, your gifts, and that's a straight out lost, for those who don't even know you yet. I'm always an advocate that every business owner should look at everything that they do in three ways. They need to look what they need to duplicate, they need to look at what they need to eliminate, and they need to look at what they need to reduce, and slide and scale from there. And I think many times, a person, actually gets a better, lens on their use of time and energy for themselves when they're working with an executive assistant, because the executive system is going to be like, I was able to accomplish so much over here, but I think what we need to do is systematize that, and then I can spend some better use of time over there. And those are some of those things you do, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. I help business owners just find so much extra free time and just go out there to make the money. And I'll keep track of it for them.
Yeah, right. And when it comes to executive services, for people who don't know, I mean, do they pay in hours? Do they pay in projects? Do they pay based upon experience? how does that look like? Because it just seems like when you look out there, there's not really a standardized method of bringing on virtual assistants, and then not to mention, I mean, do I need the company in America, or but then there's the Philippines, and I got these over in Singapore, and then I have and for a lot of people, I think they get to the point of almost being confused at times. What are some of the benchmarks, or what are some of the questions that a business owner should ask before they get into a contract with someone who's going to be their virtual assistant?
Well, I think everyone kind of runs it a little differently. I
Hmm.
can't tell you the number of clients I have that have come to me and said, oh, I've tried these other less expensive options and they just didn't work out. So just remember, you're going to get what you pay for.
Yes.
Right. And I definitely just check out the background, check out their technical skills. It depends what you're looking for. Some clients, I worked with one gentleman that had 2 virtual assistants. He had a financial virtual assistant because that's what she did. And then he wanted her to do social networking, and she's like, I don't do that. So he hired a second one. So find out their specialties, what they are good at. And then so I have minimums every month, but I don't really sell packages because I don't want to keep track of 10 different packages. I just want to keep it straight and easy because, I have to do that business too. So, but just check out their skills and don't be afraid to ask questions for sure.
Well, I am here with Linda Kooper. She is a freelance virtual executive assistant. Reach her at premierexecutiveadmin.com. That's premierexecutiveadmin.com, or call her at 630-673-6100. In the next segment, I'm going to ask a couple more questions about being an executive virtual assistant. But I'm also going to, I also want to get into your world of networking and why that is so important for a business owner. So we will see you in our next segment, Linda.
Thank you.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
All right, I am here with Linda Kooper. She is a freelance virtual executive assistant. Again, you can reach her at premierexecutiveadmin.com. That's premierexecutiveadmin.com. Or you can call her, reach out to her at 630-673-6100. And I think that you brought up something that was really, really stellar. And what I mean by that is so much of the time, it's just asks for a referral. Right? I mean, if and I'm sure, like you probably know others in the virtual assistant industry that you can refer out to, and you're probably referred by others. But I've always said success leaves clues. And and if you know of someone who utilizes a team of virtual assistants, ask that person if they are willing to give up that secret sauce of who their virtual assistant staff is. And isn't that one of the better ways to actually find success much quicker, Linda?
Absolutely. Referrals are a great way to bring on any new employee, I think. Definitely.
And you probably have a team of people that you can refer to as well.
Absolutely.
In other things, I mean, are there any associations or where virtual assistants are? Is there any accreditation for that, or is it still kind of the Wild West out there? Because that I don't know myself.
I am not 100% sure. That is a great question. I should look into that. I know on LinkedIn there is definitely some virtual assistant groups out there that you can join, and there are people that are teaching it that are leading these groups on LinkedIn, so you can get a lot of information from there as well. But I'm not really sure about accreditations yet. That should be, right? That would be a good idea.
Absolutely. I think there should be. Maybe we need to start that, you and I. We can
Yeah,
we can
you
start
guys
a
can do that.
why not? We got a network of business owners. We'll have a network of virtual assistants as well. We'll have the
Yeah.
done for you marketing association or something. But at any rate, what I loved is when I was getting to learn a little bit about you, one of the places that I think that you have a soft heart for, and I think it has a lot to do with family actually, is you have a love for networking, you have a love of leadership, you have a love for people who want to be entrepreneurs themselves. And I think that really goes back to maybe the roots of your life, having two great parents, a brother, some entrepreneurial spirit and some of your gifts. But why is networking so important for you in your life?
I have found over the past 10 years that I don't even think I meant to do it, but I surrounded myself with very strong women, and they've been a great influence in my life. I I don't know if you've heard of Women's Entrepreneur Secrets of Success. It's called WESOS. It's a great group. That's actually where I met Michelle Smith from. She is one of our strategists. It's just a great networking group that I've been part of for like 12 years. And we really support each other. We don't compete against each other. We don't no mean girls are allowed. They naturally just they weed themselves out because they don't
Yeah.
get the attention they want, right? So we just created a really safe community in this networking group. So you never feel alone. You always feel supported. When I was laid off from my day job in October of last year, and that's who I turned to. I turned to my sisters in that group, and at first I just wanted their pity. They're like, "Oh, that really stinks. What are you going to do now?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Is this the end of my pity party?" And they were like, "Yeah. How are you going to start your company?" And I said, "I don't know."
Yeah,
So it
there's
was
the door, get out, right? I was like, what?
it was that networking group that I turned to. And even if I didn't know people, they knew who to refer me to. So again, the power of referrals. And I just think, if you do business with people, like and trust, right? So you get your
Yeah.
referrals from there. And I just think networking is such a great way to do that. And I've known a lot of those women for about 10 years and I never needed them. And then when I did need them, they were there. So I'm very passionate about networking for sure.
Well, and I think that is something that really resonates with me because, people say, well, networking doesn't work, networking, and I think no, and I came up with this saying, no, bad networking doesn't work. You know, good networking works wonderfully. And
Mhm.
once you find that tribe, once you find those communities, you're never going to leave it because the thing but it has to have that culture. It has to have that culture. Are you looking for completion? Are you looking for a great place to get to learn something? Are you looking for a great place to earn? Are you looking to get training? I mean, I've always said, in our networking organization, it's a place to learn, earn, and learn how to earn. But it's also a place where everyone deserves to eat and everyone deserves to compete. Just do it nicely.
Right.
Because right, and that's where I think that you and I really synergize, because there's enough sharks out there and there's enough goldfish, and it's like, for you and me, let's swim with the dolphins.
Yeah.
We're social animals, and yeah, we may compete, but we have the mentality that the apple tree is abundant enough to provide for us all. And I think that that's the heart of the networker. They have to have that heart set before they get in that competitive mindset, and I'm first, and I'm going to get that client and you're not, and it's going to work for me and not you, or you're not good enough. It's like, no, that's not what networking is about. And networking is about collaborating to such a point that like your chapter or your tribe or your organization, they actually work almost like a corporation to complete the needs of everyone they serve, right?
Yes, exactly. And we build each other up. There are so many examples within, it could be any networking group, but within our group for sure, of people in the same industry working together. Even if they live in the same area, they can be accountability partners and build each other up. And you can learn from each other. You don't have to compete with each other because, like you said, there's enough to go around for everyone. There's enough business out there, so you don't have to be mean.
No, you don't. No, you don't. And it's so, and it's amazing when, when you're one of my coaches said you learn who your friends are, not when you succeed. You learn who your friends are when you fail. And and I think you're a testimony of what that good networking looks like, because I mean, I'm not saying like getting let go or leaving a job or whatever is necessarily a failure, but from the standpoint of, is your family there? Are the other people that like, and trust are they gonna stand up, advocate you, and actually give you a gentle kick in the what to get you out there? I think that's a part of networking too. It's not all about, we're just having fun here. It really is all about stretching each other's boundaries a little bit, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I think when you support other people, when you find out where they're at and their needs, and you really get to know them, you can lift them up and then you go higher as well. So I think
Yeah.
it's a win-win for sure. And I didn't realize it sounded bad. I was like, oh, I got let go. That sounds bad.
Yeah.
It was good terms.
Well,
It was good terms. We're
well,
still friends.
what's crazy, it's like, that let go in that moment, maybe it felt bad, but it was like the best thing that ever happened, too.
Absolutely.
And I think about that so many times. My daughter, she was 9 years old and she was painting. She had a canvas and she's painting rainbows. Okay. And so we were doing like a project for mom and everything. And and this is what failure looks like sometimes. She drops some water droplets on it, and all of a sudden her rainbow, oh my gosh, it like had tears on it, and she was like devastated, and she just, oh my god, I fail and I hate it and it's terrible. And then I said, it's okay, mom's gonna love it anyway. You know what she did? She went back to it, and then she purposely made more.
I bet it looked
And
really
then all of
cool.
it, yeah, and it looks really cool, and it's like hanging in our room. But I think that's what networking does, is you find other team members around you that pick you up when things are going wrong. But you've also stepped up. You're in leadership. What are some of the things that you've learned being in leadership that may have been a little bit different than when you were a member of your networking group?
It was a little frightening. It was really natural for me though. Because I've been part of the group for 10 years. The reason I decided to become a leader is I moved to Northern Illinois. So I wasn't in Western Illinois, and that's where all a lot of the chapters are. And I moved up here to Northern Illinois, and there's not a lot of networking up here. And I was talking to other women up here, and they're kind of struggling, like finding good people to network with. And I said, you know what, we need to bring this type of community all over. I think it
Yeah.
should be all over the United States. And so that's why I decided to become a leader up here. And we're working on growing it. My second meeting is next week, so I'm super excited. Actually, my
Yeah.
speaker is Michelle Smith. So
All
I'm
right. That is fabulous. Michelle is wonderful. She's a member of the iNetrepreneur Network. And it's so funny because even like with networking, in networking, I always say, people ask me and they're like, well, if I'm in a networking group, I can't be in their networking group, can I? And I'm like, that's a different networking group which doesn't allow that. I tell them this. I'm like, be as in many networking groups as you can find a return on involvement, a return on your equity, and a return on your investment.
Mhm.
But most of all, the biggest ROE is a return on energy. If it's like magazine and advertising. If you does Walmart put themselves, let's say, in one magazine, or they only have an ad on one television station? No, they put them in as many that provide some type of return. And I always say like that, be in as many networking groups as you possibly can handle that provides the appropriate amount of return to you. And that's what I've always said. And I think that's important too. And it's okay to be networking with men sometimes too.
Yeah,
We're okay, some of us
absolutely.
anyway.
Yeah, I have a few male clients as well, and I met them through networking, so that's fine too. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So you and I have both seen a lot of changes in both, virtual assistants and networking, especially like in the last 2 or 3 years. What are some things that maybe you see in your world, if you had that crystal ball, where is virtual executive assistant? Where is kind of like the industry going? And in your terms, like where is networking going? Do you think we're embracing it more? We're understanding it more? Is it more necessary now than ever? What is your take on both those industries?
So I think definitely for networking, I think we are embracing it more. I think a lot of the stringent networking groups, I've been in the groups where if you don't pass leads, you got to pay $20, and if your phone rings, you have to pay. I mean, it was ridiculous. It caused me anxiety so much, so bad.
Mhm.
So I think those kind of groups, I don't know. I think they're going to go more towards the supportive, the collaborative.
Yeah, we're
I think
evolving a little bit, right?
Yes, I think they're
Yeah.
definitely on the rise, and I think they're so important to small businesses, entrepreneurs, to everyone. So I think they're going to continue to grow, and I think that's great. And you see them virtually, so we have some virtual chapters, and that's cool too. So you can, again, connect over Zoom, and I feel like every time I go to a networking thing, I learn something. So they're so
Absolutely.
valuable for sure. And the VA, well, I hope it just keeps growing and getting more well known. And like you said, remove the stigma because, we're not just, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people think of a VA and they're just like, oh, they're just gonna do simple little things. We can actually become part of your business and lift you up and support you when even when you're struggling in your own business or your own life, like I've been there for that too. So,
Yeah.
we can be we can totally become part of your team, and not just a worker that you see every once in a while. So I hope that grows as well.
Well, very valuable member of the team, and and I've heard this recent statement, fractional. There's the fractional CMO, there's a fractional CFO, there's a fractional CEO. But I think that there also needs to be a fractional, left-handed man or woman. Because I think that really needs to be a place as well. Because if you have someone there, that lends support and inspiration, even at times gives hope. I mean, that matters. And it's those times where that other person can be more than just someone who does mundane task or setting up system. They can also create enough inspiration for you to keep going on even in the tight times, don't you think?
I do think so. Yes, absolutely. We can be your sounding board. You know, I've been doing it for over 10 years, so I've seen a lot. So yeah, we can help you make, bounce ideas off us. We can help you form those decisions and strategies for sure.
So you gave us a couple of things, but I'm gonna put you on the spot just a little bit, not too hard, just a little
Okay.
soft one here. A couple of things that you know about networking, and a couple of things that you know about virtual assistant services that that every entrepreneur should know.
Oh, virtual assistant. We're more than calendar management. Definitely more than calendar management. We are there to help you thrive and succeed. Also, so I also do tech marketing. So that's more like I don't. It's more than Facebook. It's more like marketing through your CRM, stuff like that.
Yep, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and something about networking. Oh, just I think it's just important to help others along the way. You never know who you're going to meet and when you're going to meet them. Like you could meet someone and not need their services for another 5 years, but it's important to have those connections. Just so when you need them, you know where to turn. That was my case. I didn't know I was going to need a lot of things, and then when I did, they were there. The people were there.
Yeah, what I love about networking is I get to window shop the person before I use their product or service.
Yes.
And I think that is like one of the coolest thing about networking. Well, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. We're coming to the end of the show, Linda. Oh my gosh, So again, I am here with Linda Kooper. She is a virtual executive assistant with Premier Executive Admin. PremierExecutiveAdmin.com is how you can reach out to her. Or you can just, hey, Pick up the phone, go old school. My God, old school Alexander Graham Bell type of stuff, and call her at 630-673-6100. I mean, are there any other ways, Linda, that people can get a hold of you?
I am on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. You can definitely reach out that way as well, or you can shoot me an email, linda@premierexecutiveadmin.com. Any of those ways will work.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate, I think what you do, and I didn't even get to it. I think that you, for a lot of entrepreneurs, are like a mental health savior. You keep our sanity when we feel like there's none. Okay. And so don't pick up a drink, pick up the phone and call Linda Kooper. So
thank you so much. It was great.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. If you have time to stay after show, please do. But it's been my treat having you, and I hope I did you the best service that I possibly could do.
Yes, this was great. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Linda. Again, I was with Linda Kooper. She's a freelance virtual executive assistant. Remember, we are here each week from 2:30 to 3:30 Pacific time, but that's also Arizona time right now. Catch us each and every week or find us on the YouTube channel. Everyone have a great and successful week. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday, again, from 2 to 3:30. Make it a great week, everyone. Thank you.
You've been watching the iEntrepreneur Show, a production of the iEntrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.